The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council stretched upward like a crystal cathedral, its transparent walls showing the swirling nebula and distant stars beyond. Admiral James Wright stood alone at the center of the circular chamber, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of floating holograms. Above him, arranged in rising tiers, sat representatives from over 300 advanced civilizations. He straightened his navy blue uniform and cleared his throat. Distinguished members of the Council, Earth comes before you today to request membership among the galactic community. We have achieved faster-than-light travel through our quantum compression drive, and our civilization has colonized multiple worlds within our solar system. A low murmur rippled through the chamber. High Commander Stone, a tall being with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer in the starlight, leaned forward from his elevated position. Admiral Wright, your species achieved FTL travel merely 5 years ago. Your fastest ships can barely reach 10 times light speed. His voice carried a note of amusement that made Wright's jaw clench. That is correct, but we have made rapid progress. Wright began, but laughter interrupted him. Not polite chuckles, but real, genuine laughter that echoed through the chamber. 10 times light speed. A delegate from the fourth tier wiped tears from their multiple eyes. My people's cargo ships are faster than your best military vessels. Wright's hands tightened behind his back, knuckles turning white. He had expected skepticism, even dismissal, but not this open mockery. High Commander Stone raised a hand, quieting the chamber. Admiral, let me be direct. Your species is young, very young. The slowest military ships in this council travel at a minimum of 1,000 times light speed. Some can cross the galaxy in weeks. Your technology is. He paused, searching for a diplomatic word. Quaint. More laughter rippled through the chamber. Wright noticed several delegates recording the session, no doubt to share this entertainment with others later. We understand we have much to learn, Wright said, keeping his voice steady. But Earth has shown remarkable progress in a short time. We request the opportunity to... To what? Stone interrupted. To drag the Council down to your level. To demand protection while offering nothing in return. He shook his head, silver skin rippling. No, Admiral. The Galactic Council maintains certain standards. Standards your Earth falls far, far short of meeting. Wright thought of the secret facility deep within Europa, of Dr. Baker's work that would change everything. But those were cards they couldn't show. Not yet. When would Earth be eligible to reapply? Wright asked, maintaining his diplomatic composure despite the continued smirks and whispers around him. Stone leaned back, consulting with nearby delegates. After a moment, he turned back to Wright. The Council grants Earth permission to reapply in 50 standard years, assuming you've developed proper FTL technology by then. More chuckling followed this statement. Wright bowed stiffly. Earth thanks the Council for its consideration. He turned to leave, his footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. Oh, and Admiral. Stone called after him. Do try to achieve at least 100 times light speed before returning. We wouldn't want to waste the Council's time again. The chamber erupted in laughter once more as Wright walked out, his face burning but his step steady. In his earpiece, a secure channel crackled to life. Did they buy it? Dr. Baker's voice was tense. Wright waited until he was in his shuttle, away from prying ears. Completely. They think we're centuries behind them. No one's watching Europa. Not a soul, Baker replied. They're too busy laughing to look closely at a primitive ice moon. Test 17 succeeded, by the way. We moved the probe through all 7 dimensions. It's ready. Wright smiled for the first time that day as his shuttle broke away from the Council station. Good. Let them laugh. In 6 months, we'll show them what humanity's really capable of. The shuttle accelerated toward the waiting Earth ship, leaving behind a chamber full of amused aliens who had no idea they'd just made the biggest mistake in their civilization's histories. Sometimes, Wright thought, the best place to hide was in plain sight, disguised as someone else's joke. they wouldn't be laughing for much longer. Deep beneath Europa's icy surface, in a facility carved from the moon's frozen core, Dr. Anna Baker watched numbers flow across her holographic display. The chamber hummed with energy as massive machines processed calculations that would have taken Earth's most powerful computers years to complete. Running final checks on Test 18, she announced to her team. The circular test chamber before them contained nothing but empty space, yet instruments showed it was anything but empty. 7 different dimensional planes intersected at its center, invisible to the naked eye, but blindingly bright to their sensors. Through the reinforced observation window, Baker watched as their latest probe, a sphere the size of a basketball, floated in the chamber center. Unlike previous tests, this one would attempt a controlled journey through all 7 dimensions while carrying organic matter, a small plant sealed in a protective container. "Power readings stable," called out her assistant, Tom Peters, from his station. "Dimensional barriers holding steady at all intersection points." Baker nodded, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls. 6 months had passed since Admiral Wright's intentionally embarrassing appearance before the Galactic Council. 6 months of breakthrough after breakthrough, each one bringing them closer to their goal. Initiating dimensional shift in 3, 2, 1. The probe flickered, its surface seeming to fold in on itself in ways that hurt the eyes to watch. Then it vanished, leaving behind a slight ripple in the air. "Probe has successfully entered the 4th dimension," Tom reported, excitement creeping into his voice. "5th dimension transition in progress. 6th, 7th, all readings nominal." Baker allowed herself a small smile. In the observation room above, Fleet Commander Marcus Reed watched with intense interest. He had arrived 3 days ago to oversee the final tests before the technology would be installed in humanity's new flagship. The probe reappeared exactly 60 seconds later, precisely as planned. Baker's team rushed to analyze the data while others carefully removed the plant from the probe's storage compartment. "The plant is alive and showing no signs of stress," reported Dr. Lisa Ward, their biologist. "Cellular structure unchanged. This is unprecedented." Commander Reed's voice came through the intercom. "Outstanding work, Dr. Baker. How soon can we begin installation on the Infinity?" Baker studied the incoming data before responding. "Give us 48 hours to analyze everything and run one final test. Then we can begin the transfer." She paused, looking up at the observation window. "Commander, the power requirements for a ship the size of Infinity will be enormous. Are the new fusion cores ready?" "Installed and running at full capacity," Reed replied. "The aliens won't detect them either. We're using the same shielding technology that's kept this facility hidden. They still think we're struggling with basic nuclear fission." Baker turned back to her displays, examining the complex mathematical models that described their breakthrough. The aliens understood 3-dimensional space travel, and some even grasped the 4th dimension. But none had mastered all 7. Their ships were fast, yes, but they were still limited by the basic laws of space-time. Humanity's ship would not be bound by such limitations. "Dr. Baker," Tom called out suddenly. "Long-range sensors are picking up movement. 3 alien ships just entered the solar system." Baker tensed, but Reed's voice remained calm. "Don't worry. They're just another patrol from the Bright Empire, coming to remind us of our place. They've been doing this since the council meeting, showing off their superior technology." Through special sensors, Baker watched the alien ships cruise past Jupiter at speeds that would have once seemed impossible to achieve. Their arrogance was almost touching, like masters showing off to children, never suspecting that the children had surpassed them. "Let them come," Baker murmured, watching her team prepare for the final test. "Let them think we're still playing with toys while they rule the stars." She turned to the massive shape taking form in the larger construction bay beyond the test chamber. The ECA's Infinity, humanity's true first starship. Soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn that laughter at humanity's expense came with a price. And thanks to their 7-dimensional drive, That lesson would arrive far sooner than anyone expected. The weekly briefing room in Earth's Defense Command was unusually crowded. Admiral Wright stood at the front, pointing to a holographic display showing multiple red dots approaching human colonies throughout the solar system. "That makes 15 incursions in the past week alone," he said, his voice tight with controlled anger. "The Bright Empire ships are getting bolder. They're no longer just patrolling. They're harassing our mining operations near Mars and buzzing our settlements on Titan." Fleet Commander Reed sat at the table, studying the tactical display with narrowed eyes. "They're testing us, seeing how we'll respond." He looked up at Wright. "Or trying to provoke us into showing our real capabilities." "Agreed." Wright nodded. "But we can't reveal the Infinity yet. Dr. Baker needs 2 more weeks to complete the final calibrations." Through the room's massive windows, Earth hung like a blue jewel against the black of space. The defense station's position near the moon gave them a perfect view of their homeworld, and of the 3 Bright Empire warships that had just appeared at the edge of the solar system. "New contact," announced the sensor operator. 3 Bright Empire heavy cruisers, approaching at 700 times light speed. She paused, checking her readings. "They're slowing down. Looks like they're heading for the Mars colony this time." Wright's hands clenched behind his back. "Send out the usual patrol ships. Make them look nervous, disorganized. Lieutenant Wells, patch me through to their commander." The main screen flickered to life, showing the sneering face of Captain First Rank Gold, one of the Bright Empire's most notorious harassers. His metallic skin gleamed under his ship's lights. "Ah, Admiral Wright." Gold's translator conveyed his mocking tone perfectly. "Still puttering around in your little toy ships, I see. We're conducting a routine patrol through this quaint system of yours." Wright forced his face to show just the right amount of worried deference. "We recognize your right to patrol, Captain, but your ships are approaching dangerously close to our Mars mining operations." "Are they?" Gold's smile widened. "How unfortunate. Perhaps if your species had developed proper scanning technology, you could better track our movements." Behind him, his bridge crew laughed. In the briefing room, Reed silently checked his secure tablet. A message from Dr. Baker flashed across the screen. "Final calibrations proceeding ahead of schedule. Infinity's drive is at 92% efficiency." Wright continued his carefully scripted performance. "Captain, we formally request that you maintain a safe distance from our installations. Any accidents could have serious diplomatic consequences." "Accidents?" Gold leaned forward. "Like this?" He made a gesture, and one of his ships fired an energy pulse that passed within meters of a Mars mining station. The human miners scattered in panic, their radio channels filling with alarmed chatter. "That's a direct violation of neutral space protocols," Wright protested, allowing real anger to color his voice. "Prove it," Gold replied smoothly. "Oh wait, your primitive sensors probably didn't even register that energy signature, did they? The Council was right to lock you off the station. 50 years was far too generous. You'll need 500 to reach our level." As Gold's image vanished from the screen, Reed checked another message from Europa. 95% efficiency achieved. Installation complete in 10 days. Wright waited until all channels were closed before allowing himself a small smile. "Send word to all colonies and installations," he ordered. "Tell them to maintain current protocols. Show fear, show weakness, but do not engage. Let them think their intimidation is working." "The Infinity's hull is complete," Reed reported quietly. "Dr. Baker's team is integrating the dimensional drive as we speak. The aliens still haven't detected anything unusual about Europa." Wright nodded, watching the Bright Empire ships harass another mining vessel. Each insult, each mock attack, each casual display of technological superiority was being carefully recorded. Soon, very soon, humanity would present its bill for all this entertainment. "Let them have their fun," Wright said softly. "In 10 days, we'll show them what humanity's been doing while they were busy laughing. I want Captain Gold's face recorded when the Infinity makes its debut." Outside, the bright Empire ships continued their arrogant display, never suspecting that their actions were building toward a response that would shake the foundations of galactic society. Humanity's patience was not weakness, it was the calm before a storm that would rewrite the rules of space warfare forever. The attack came without warning. Bright Empire warships appeared near every human settlement in the solar system, their weapons already charged. Captain Gold's face appeared on emergency channels across human space, his metallic features twisted in a cruel smile. "Primitive species should know their place," he announced. "The Bright Empire claims this system by right of superior technology. You have 1 hour to surrender all colonies and return to Earth. Resist, and we will demonstrate real space warfare." In the Europa Facilities Command Center, Dr. Baker worked frantically at her controls. "The Infinity's drive is at 98% efficiency," she reported to Commander Reed. "We need 3 more hours to complete the final safety checks." "We don't have 3 hours," Reed replied grimly, watching as the first shots were fired. Near Mars, a mining station erupted in flames as Bright Empire ships systematically destroyed human infrastructure. Admiral Wright's voice crackled through their secure channel. "Earth Defense Command is launching everything we have. We need to buy time for the Infinity." "Dr. Baker, what happens if we launch now?" Baker's fingers flew across her holographic displays, running rapid calculations. "The drive will work, but we can't guarantee precise control through all 7 dimensions. We might overshoot our targets, or worse." Above Titan, Earth's conventional warships engaged the enemy. Their weapons, considered primitive by galactic standards, barely scratched the Bright Empire's shields. One by one, human ships exploded or retreated, their crews fighting bravely against impossible odds. "The Council has refused our distress call," Wright reported. "They say this is natural selection in action and won't intervene. We're on our own." Through special sensors, Baker watched as more Bright Empire ships emerged from hyperspace. They were taking their time, methodically destroying human installations while avoiding major population centers, not from mercy, but to prolong the demonstration of their superiority. 99%, Baker announced, her voice tense. "Commander Reed, the Infinity's bridges are manned. We're ready to launch, but I have to warn you. The dimensional calculations are untested at full scale. This could go very wrong." Reed watched another human ship die in a flash of nuclear fire. "We're out of options." Admiral Wright, requesting permission to launch. "Granted," Wright's voice was hard. "Show these bastards what humanity's really capable of." Deep within Europa, massive doors began to open. The ice moon's surface cracked along predetermined lines as the Infinity's launch tunnel prepared to reveal its secret. The ship itself hummed with power as its dimensional drive spun up to full capacity. Captain Gold's ships noticed the activity too late. "What's this?" His mocking voice filled the command channel. "Are you hiding more toys in that frozen rock? Let's see what primitive technology." His voice cut off as his sensors detected something impossible. The Infinity erupted from Europa's surface, its hull gleaming with energy that seemed to bend reality around it. Nearly a kilometer long, the ship represented humanity's true first step into advanced space technology. "Drive is holding stable," Baker reported from her station aboard the Infinity. "All 7-dimensional planes are responding. We have control." Reed took his place on the bridge, his voice firm as he gave the order. "All hands, prepare for dimensional shift. Let's show the galaxy what happens when they underestimate humanity." The Bright Empire ships opened fire, their energy weapons slicing through space toward the Infinity. But the human vessel simply shifted. The beams passed through empty space as the Infinity partially phased into higher dimensions, becoming something the aliens' targeting systems couldn't comprehend. "Impossible." Gold's voice had lost its mocking tone. "Our sensors show you in 7 places at once. What kind of devilry is this?" Reed allowed himself a small smile as the Infinity moved into attack position, existing simultaneously in multiple dimensional planes. You wanted to see real space warfare, Captain. Allow us to demonstrate. The battle for humanity's future was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Infinity moved like nothing the galaxy had ever seen before. As 20 bright Empire ships fired their weapons, the human vessel seemed to dance between dimensions, appearing and disappearing at will. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes passed harmlessly through space, where the ship had been microseconds before. Dimensional shift successful, Dr. Baker reported from her station, monitoring the complex readings. The drive is performing beyond expectations. We can access all 7 dimensions at will. Commander Reed stood on the bridge, watching as Captain Gold's fleet tried desperately to target them. Send word to all human colonies, he ordered. Tell them to watch what happens when humanity stops hiding. The Infinity phased partially into the 4th dimension, becoming ghost-like to normal space sensors. Then it slipped into the 5th dimension, appearing simultaneously at multiple points around the enemy fleet. In the 6th dimension, it moved faster than light without using conventional engines. And in the 7th dimension, it did something that made the alien sensors simply stop working. This is impossible. Gold's voice had lost all traces of arrogance. No species can manipulate dimensional space like this. You were supposed to be primitives. Funny thing about humans, Reed replied calmly. We don't like being laughed at. Dr. Baker, demonstrate our main weapon. Baker's fingers danced across her controls. The Infinity's dimensional drive pulsed, creating a sphere of distorted space around the nearest enemy ship. The alien vessel stretched and compressed as multiple dimensions intersected through its hull. What are you doing to us? Gold's voice shook as he watched one of his ships literally fold in on itself, its crew evacuating in panic before it collapsed into a point of light and vanished. We're shifting your ship through all 7 dimensions at once, Baker explained, her voice clinical. Without proper shielding, the stress tears the structure apart at the quantum level. Would you like to see it again? 3 more enemy ships vanished in quick succession. The others began to retreat, their superior weapons useless against something they couldn't hit or even properly detect. Admiral Wright's voice came through the command channel. The Infinity is living up to its name, Commander. The enemy fleet is in full retreat from Mars and Titan. Captain Gold, I believe you were saying something about primitive species. Gold's fleet regrouped, trying to form a defensive pattern. But how do you defend against a ship that can attack from 7 different dimensional planes at once? The Infinity slipped between their formations like water through a sieve, each pass leaving more twisted and broken ships in its wake. We surrender. Gold's voice finally cracked. In the name of the bright Empire, we surrender. Please, just tell us what you want. Reed exchanged glances with Baker before responding. First, you will pay compensation for every human life lost and all property destroyed during your attack. Second, you will deliver a full report to the Galactic Council about what happened here today. And third, he paused, allowing himself a small smile, you will never again mistake humanity's patience for weakness. The remaining bright Empire ships powered down their weapons. On screens across the solar system, humans watched as their supposed superiors were reduced to frightened refugees, fleeing from the thing they had mocked just hours before. Dimensional drive still operating at peak efficiency, Baker reported proudly. We could chase them down if you want, Commander. Reed shook his head. Let them run. Let them tell others what they saw here today. The galaxy needs to learn that humanity wasn't hiding in fear. We were advancing in silence. The Infinity hung in space, its hull shimming with the power of 7 dimensions. Around it, the wreckage of bright Empire ships drifted like a warning. Humanity had kept its greatest achievements secret not out of weakness, but because they understood an ancient truth. The best moment to reveal your strength is when others are convinced of your weakness. The galaxy's laughter had finally stopped, replaced by a very different sound. The sound of fear. The Galactic Council chamber was silent. Not the silence of space, but the heavy silence of shock and fear. The same representatives who had laughed at humanity months ago now sat frozen, watching the recording of the Infinity's battle against the Bright Empire fleet. High Commander Stone's silver skin had lost its shine. "This recording, this is real?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Admiral Wright stood in the center of the chamber, just as he had during that humiliating first appearance. But this time, he wasn't alone. Dr. Baker and Commander Reed flanked him. And behind them, through the chamber's transparent walls, the Infinity floated in space, its hull shifting between dimensions even at rest. "Completely real," Wright replied. "We've mastered travel through all 7 spatial dimensions. The ship you see outside can navigate them at will. Would you like a demonstration?" Several council members flinched at the suggestion. The recordings had shown exactly what happened to ships that faced the Infinity in battle. "How?" Stone demanded. "How did you hide this level of technology?" "Our sensors should have detected something." Baker stepped forward. "Your sensors work in 3 dimensions, occasionally detecting echoes of the 4th. We built the Infinity in dimensions you can't even see. As for hiding it," she smiled. "Well, it's easy to hide when everyone's too busy laughing to look closely." A representative from the upper tiers stood up. "The Bright Empire's report claims you destroyed 15 of their most advanced warships in under 10 minutes. Their weapons couldn't touch you." 14 ships, Reed corrected. "The 15th escaped because we let it. Hard to spread the word if there are no survivors." The chamber erupted in worried whispers. These beings, who had dominated space travel for centuries, suddenly found themselves facing something beyond their comprehension. "What are your demands?" Stone asked, his arrogance replaced by diplomatic caution. "Surely you want revenge for how we treated you." Wright shook his head. "Revenge? No. We want what we always wanted, to join the galactic community. But this time, as equals." "Equals?" Another council member scoffed, then quickly fell silent as the Infinity briefly phased into the 5th dimension, becoming multiple ships before returning to normal space. "Yes, yes, of course. As equals." Baker activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. "We're prepared to share some of our dimensional physics knowledge. Not the military applications, but enough to revolutionize civilian space travel. Think of it as a gesture of goodwill." The council members leaned forward, their scientific curiosity overcoming their fear. The display showed shipping routes reduced from months to days, power systems that drew energy from dimensional boundaries, and medical applications that could save countless lives. "And in return?" Stone asked carefully. "In return," Wright said, "humanity takes its place on this council. Not in 50 years. Not when you think we're ready. Now." Stone looked around the chamber, seeing nods of agreement from most members. Some were eager to gain access to human technology. Others simply wanted to ensure humanity remained peaceful. All of them understood that the balance of power had shifted dramatically. "The council votes in favor," Stone announced, trying to maintain some dignity. "Earth is granted full membership, effective immediately." As celebrations broke out across human space, Baker turned to Wright and Reed. "They're already trying to reverse engineer our technology," she whispered. "I can see their scanning attempts." Wright smiled. "Let them try. It took us decades to understand these principles. By the time they catch up, we'll have moved even further ahead." Reed watched the council members, many of whom were now approaching with offers of trade deals and military alliances. Amazing how quickly laughter can turn to respect. "Not respect," Wright corrected. "Not yet. But fear and curiosity are good starting points. Respect will come when they realize we could have destroyed them, but chose to help them instead." The Infinity continued its dimensional dance outside, a reminder to the galaxy that humanity had not only caught up, they had silently surpassed their would-be superiors in ways no one had imagined possible. The age of human innovation had begun. 5 years had passed since the day the Infinity changed galactic history. The same chamber that once echoed with laughter at humanity's expense now hosted the most important scientific conference in known space. Representatives from hundreds of civilizations watched intently as Dr. Baker demonstrated the basics of dimensional physics. The key was thinking beyond traditional spacetime. She explained, her holographic models showing the complex interactions between dimensions. Most species tried to break the light speed barrier. We simply stepped around it. In orbit above, the Infinity had been joined by dozens of new human ships, each one more advanced than the last. The original vessel was now a museum piece, though it still performed regular demonstrations for diplomatic purposes. Commander Reed, now Fleet Admiral Reed, stood at a window overlooking Earth's new shipyards. Massive vessels took shape in multiple dimensions, their construction barely visible to normal space. Another 30 ships ready for launch next month, he reported to Admiral Wright, who now served as humanity's representative on the Council's leadership board. The Bright Empire sent another technology exchange request, Wright said, reviewing reports on his holographic display. Their third this month. Reed smiled, still trying to understand how we did it. What did you tell them? The same thing we tell everyone. Take the basic physics courses first. Learn to walk before you run. Wright gestured to the classroom sections of the station, where alien scientists studied under human teachers. Some species are progressing quite well. Others still think they can skip the fundamentals and jump straight to weapons development. Below them, in one of the station's research labs, Dr. Baker supervised a group of alien students as they attempted their first controlled dimensional shift. The test object, a simple metal cube, flickered between dimensions. Excellent work, she encouraged them. You're beginning to understand. Remember, the mathematics are just tools. You need to feel the dimensional flows. A junior officer rushed into the observation room where Wright and Reed stood. Sirs, we're detecting unusual energy readings from the Andromeda Galaxy. Something massive is moving between dimensions. They hurried to the control center, where advanced sensors showed a strange object approaching. It shifted through dimensional planes in ways even humanity hadn't mastered, its movements elegant and purposeful. It's a ship, Baker announced, joining them after excusing herself from her class. But the dimensional manipulation is beyond anything we've seen. They're using at least 9 dimensions, maybe more. The alien vessel appeared in normal space, its design unlike anything in known space. A message arrived, transmitted simultaneously through multiple dimensional frequencies. People of Earth, the message began, we have watched your progress with great interest. Few species master dimensional travel so quickly, and fewer still choose to teach others rather than conquer them. We believe you are ready for the next step. Wright exchanged glances with his colleagues. We're not alone in the higher dimensions, he said softly. We never were. The message continued. Your species has shown wisdom in victory and generosity in advancement. We invite humanity to join the Dimensional Council, where species who have mastered the higher planes work together to explore the true nature of reality. Baker's instruments were going crazy as the alien ship demonstrated technologies that made even the Infinity look primitive. But instead of fear, she felt excitement. Just think of what we could learn from them, she whispered. And what we could teach, Reed added, watching as their alien students gathered at windows to stare at the new arrival. Wright stepped forward to compose humanity's response. The species that had once been laughed at for their primitive technology was about to take another step into a larger universe. But this time, they wouldn't go alone. They would bring along all those who had once mocked them, proving that true advancement came not from conquest, but from understanding. We accept your invitation, Wright transmitted back. Humanity is ready to learn again. Above them, the stars seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging that a new chapter in galactic history had begun. The age of dimensional exploration had dawned, and humanity, once dismissed as primitives, would help lead the way into a future that existed in more dimensions than anyone had imagined possible.